everything we do is something different, which I think we're pretty proud of. Down to choice of words and then the definition within that word.
So it's this cycle and this process that's necessary for people's growth. First, you feel dominated, okay? And then you want to dominate.
I find myself when I tell them the definition, or at least our team's definition now of dominate, you have to give an example. Because as you eloquently put it, it's how you make someone feel.
Matt Weaver, the #1 mortgage originator in the United States for most loans closed in 2023 and #1 in the state of Florida from 2020 to present, has spent over 27 years mastering the purchase market, earning more than 16 #1 titles across his career. Max Fisch, 2024's #1 originator in the United States under 30 and #2 in the state of Florida, achieved those titles within just 5 years of entering the mortgage industry, compressing decades of growth into a few extraordinary years. Collectively, they've helped more than 40,000 families purchase their first home. Now partners and looking to improve the industry on a national scale, Matt and Max share their winning formula, team structure, and systems with originators who want to scale from elite to extraordinary levels.
Matt, it's funny because we've done several of these together. Why are you laughing at me? I gotta look at my hands. We've done several of these together. We're keeping that in, by the way. We're keeping it. We've done several of these together, and
I think 25 or 26.
something like that. And the audience has heard many different terms that we use here, different words, different sayings. I mean, we have two of them right here.
Yes.
We went over raw winning, flat out winning, just win. We've talked about all of these things that we say as a team.
Yes.
And today, I think that we wanted to talk about this because I don't think we've ever really.
I don't think we ever touched on that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So the idea was when I was creating the team in 2010, I said, could you imagine just having our own language? I know it sounds like very bizarre, right?
Yeah.
But we have our L1 script. We have so many different terminologies that we use. Our roles, our lanes, okay, are all named something different, not typical to the industry. So in other words, we don't have, what do they call them? LP2s or LOAs, or we don't have any of that stuff.
Yeah.
That's called ordinary. And we're not interested in being ordinary. Okay. So everything we do is something different, which I think we're pretty proud of. Down to choice of words and then the definition within that word. So when you first joined, okay, you came up with an extraordinary definition of the word dominating.
I know.
And it's amazing because you never hear it that way, because I've never heard it that way. And I remember when we were at Tim Grover's event, okay, out in Laguna Beach, California.
Yeah.
And we were having lunch with LL Cool J, which, by the way,
That was the coolest thing ever.
what a great guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you told him your definition of dominate. I mean, he stopped virtually dead in his tracks,
He loved it.
and he understood it in a nanosecond.
Not everybody does, Matt.
No, because I find myself when I tell them the definition, or at least our team's definition now of dominate, you have to give an example. Because as you eloquently put it, it's how you make someone feel.
Yeah.
So why don't you give this great group the definition of dominate?
Yeah. So that word right there is very overused. Okay. That word is very overused. Yes.
You just pointed.
He's laughing. Would you rather we do this word? That word is very overused.
Right.
Everybody says, I want to dominate. What do you mean by that? Like, does it mean you just want to
What does dominate mean
I think
to the outside world?
that they just want to win, I
It's
guess.
very generic.
Yeah. To me, dominate is a stronger word.
Yes.
When you want to dominate someone, you're not just beating them. Okay. It's not like just what the score is at the end of whatever it is that you're doing or competing in. It's how you made them feel in the process. So
That's brilliant.
and so it's so interesting because I drew the parallel with Michael Jordan.
Yes.
Okay, so when I thought of Michael Jordan, I said, okay, he dominated in the 80s and 90s, but in the 90s is when he won all of his championships. Okay. And I thought to myself, I said, were there other great players that he played against that he would call some of the greatest of all time? Of course. Magic Johnson, Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing, and the list goes on and on. But then I thought, well, how was he able to dominate, okay, all of these individuals? So it starts with recognizing that these individuals were extraordinary players.
Right.
Okay.
So for example, Reggie Miller was an extraordinary
He
player.
was one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time.
Okay.
Magic Johnson, extraordinary player. But when you ask all of them, they say there was something different about Michael Jordan. When he came onto the court, there was just something different about the way that he really made them feel about the game, the way the series was going, etc. They all mention that even when you were beating him, it didn't feel like you were beating him.
Right.
Okay. And that level of feeling where these extraordinary people kind of felt lesser than a little bit as far as their skill set, not as human beings, but as far as their skill set, I thought to myself, I said, that's domination. Domination is when you make some of the best people in your craft, some of the most extraordinary people, feel that they're not as good as you. Okay. And it's and that's dominating. So to me, it goes deeper than just like unbeating them.
That's right.
I'm winning.
So give this great group the definition.
Well, the definition is making the extraordinary feel ordinary over and over again. So it's not enough to just do it once. You have to do it over and over again.
So as an example, Reggie Miller was an incredible basketball player, an extraordinary basketball player. But Jordan made Reggie feel ordinary
Yes.
over and over again.
Yep.
So domination and dominating, okay, our definition here is making someone extraordinary, who's extraordinary, feel ordinary over and over again. That's dominating. So it's a feeling.
Yeah, and there's plenty of in our space, there's plenty of extraordinary originators out there.
Yes.
I mean, we know a lot of them as within an F13 consulting.
Right.
There's so many extraordinary originators, but our job to ourselves, at least the way that we think, is we want to go out into the marketplace and dominate.
Yes.
Okay. And not to use that term loosely, but to actually cause a disruption in the marketplace.
Right.
And where that stems from, and I think this is important, is we've all been dominated. We've all been made to feel ordinary.
Yes.
At some point, whether that's when we first started or we're looking up to somebody and we're like, wow, this person is extraordinary. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was.
Right.
And it humbles you. But it's that same process that causes you to not want to feel that way and be better and strive for the extraordinary results and to be extraordinary. So it's this cycle and this process that's necessary for people's growth. First, you feel dominated, okay? And then you want to dominate. And so I just think that this term should be taken more serious.
100%, even as you're laughing.
Yeah, because it's deep.
It's deep.
It's deep stuff.
So why don't you share with the group how you're dominating today?
Well, how we're dominating together as a team is continuing to think about market disruptors, continuing to be the voice in our space where others say, oh, this freaking guy is coming up with something new for our customers, and continuing to do that over and over again. And it goes back to our velocity discussion, which is just continuing every single day, no matter what, moving at a high speed and high velocity. One specific scenario I can give you is a conversation that you and I had just last week when we were talking early in the morning about what we had on the agenda for the day, as we do most days. And I mentioned to you that I was going to make 65 phone calls that day. And I said that what I've recognized is when I have the feeling of that I don't want to do this or I don't want to do something, I'm intentionally making a choice to double down on that activity.
Right.
Because If I don't want to do it, that means others don't want to do it.
Correct.
And one of us is going to give into that.
Yes.
And I'm not going to be the person that does
Which then ultimately allows you to.
dominate.
That's right.
So that's how that's how we're dominating.
And I think sometimes it's a little easier for us to dominate others because, and I'm saying this from the perspective of hoping that someone is listening and that they can do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But remember, we know who our customer is, which is the agent. So when we know who our customer is, we're constantly thinking and creating new initiatives, new tools, new value propositions, new trainings, etc., to help them sell more real estate, which then in turn helps us in our business, which then in turn helps us to dominate.
Yeah.
So it all comes back to one thing. Know who your customer is. Add real value, not just wanting to take them out for coffee or happy hours. Okay? Add real value to your customer's business, and they'll be the ones that'll help you dominate someone else.
Yes. And please, for the love of all things, stop using the word dominate unless you're willing to put in the activity that goes along with making extraordinary people feel ordinary.
Always right.
Thanks, Matt.